Assalamu alaikum. Hello, my friends. I'm Dr. Mads Gilbert. I'm talking to you from Norway. How many people have actually the Israeli occupation forces killed in Gaza until now, from the 7th of October? It is really hard to find that number. And I'll try to explain briefly to you why this is such an important thing to discuss, because by and large, we are getting disinformed and the numbers we are presented to are far too low. The Palestinian author, the one, you know, the lady who wrote Morning in Jenin, Susan Abul Hawa, she recently posted an Insta video going through the different sources, the material that we have to estimate the number of killed and dying people from disease. Now, the main source actually is this source. This is the UN OCHA, which is a United Nations organ. And you can see the chart here on the screen. This comes 3 times a week. This is the web page where you can find it. And it's very saturated with information. I'm not going to take all the details, but look at this here. This is the main field here. These are the number of reported killed casualties. 37,953 as of July 3rd, 2024. These are the numbers of wounded from the bombing and the terror attacks, 87,266. So these are the people who have been killed, martyred from the military attacks, from the bombing, from the shooting, from all of that, and wounded. Very important number. But these people who are counted here are only the people who came to a hospital. Before the 7th of October, the Palestinian Minister of Health, who also report numbers, had a very good health information system. I know it because I've been using the data from this system in our research in Gaza. However, the Israeli occupation army destroyed the whole health information system, the computers, the central drivers, everything. So now it's been sort of counting by taking down the numbers, but the numbers are only those who have arrived to one of the hospitals. And by the way, more than half of the hospitals have been destroyed or closed down because of the Israeli terror bombing and the siege of Gaza. Now, so this number is the number of casualties or martyrs who actually have come to a hospital and being counted. And it is actually now also subdivided. So it's 25,000 around who have been completely identified. And of them, there are 10,000 men, it's 4,900 women, and it's 7,797 children. These numbers are, of course, higher than written here because it takes time to identify people. In addition to these killed, there are the ones who are buried under the rubble of the houses, the bombed houses, because the majority of the targets in Gaza are not military targets. It's, you know, where people live, apartment buildings, houses, refugee camps, and many, maybe as many as 10,000 are still remaining in the rubble of their own homes and the shelters they stayed in. And then in addition to that, you have thousands of missing people who are neither known to be in the rubble or in a hospital record or buried. And then you have the people who have been buried by the family. So if you add all these one up, you get a much higher number than 38,000. Now that's one of the problems, of course, with the ongoing slaughter in Gaza. It is the relentless terror bombing and shooting at civilian targets by the Israeli occupation army. But there is another big problem. This is my good friend, the Minister of Health in Gaza, Dr. Youssef Aborish, a brilliant doctor. He's a pediatrician, and he has been the staunch, extremely brave leader of the civilian healthcare system in Gaza during all these attacks and for many years before that. He told me in November last year, listen, Dr. Mads, he said, it's not now mainly the bombing and the military attacks that's killing our people in Gaza. It is the triangle of death. And he called it the triangle of death with starvation due to the lack of food entering Gaza and the destruction of the food basket in Gaza. The agriculture, the fisheries, the poultry, the dairy farms, and so on. And then it is the lack of water, which leads to dehydration and infections, because we knew from before this attack that as much as 90-95% of the water in Gaza was unfit for human consumption because of very high salination content and the contamination from sewage, because the Israeli occupation army has also destroyed the sewage cleaning system. And then you have the third part of the triangle of death. It is common diseases. You know, there are maybe as many as 10,000 or more cancer patients in Gaza. The Israeli army bombed the Rantisi hospital for children with cancer, and they bombed the Turkish Friendship Hospital for adult cancer patients. They do not allow cancer drugs to come in. So that's another important group of diseases. So you have all the infections. It's more than 1.2 million people now who are being infected because of the bad hygienic conditions, because of lack of water, lack of hygiene, stuff like soap and sanitary pads and everything you need to have a clean family. And in addition to that, it's burning hot in Gaza now, when with all the collection of the garbage that cannot be moved because the garbage collectors are being attacked and killed, and the sewage pumps being destroyed. So the flooding of the sewage in the streets, of course, in 38, 39 centigrades, it makes a hell of flies, mosquitoes, rats, all of these parasites that can spread diseases. So we have a very high number of diarrhea, vomit, skin diseases, hepatitis, and other communicable diseases. Extremely dangerous for public health. And then you have, of course, the cardiovascular disease with strokes, brain strokes, and myocardial infarctions. You have at any given time maybe as many as 50,000 pregnant women. You have 180 deliveries per day. There has been born more than 50,000 children in Gaza since the 7th of October. And all these women who are lactating and breastfeeding their children, they need clean water, they need good food in order to take care of their kids. So it's a massive mortality among those who are pregnant, who have difficult deliveries, who need cesarean sections, and the postpartum problems. And then you have, of course, the psychiatric diseases, who are in a very difficult position because they also bombed the one and only psychiatric hospital in the north of Gaza. And you have a magnitude of surgical diseases like gallstone, and hernia repair. So all of these diseases that would normally have a good chance of surviving, which is, these are basic diseases, you survive that. But because of the destruction of the healthcare system in Gaza, they now have a very much higher mortality. If you add all these numbers and you make calculations from known mortality from these different diseases and conditions, my good friend Susan Abul Hawa, she has calculated that the actual number of killed, of martyrs, and of people dying, excess mortality in Gaza, sums up to a number between 193,000 and 514,000 Palestinians killed or dying from avoidable diseases. Between 193,000 and 514,000. It is a colossal number, and behind every number, there is a human being like you, like me, a family, parents, children, grandparents, grieving their losses. There has been a systematic attack and wiping out of complete families in Gaza. This is a horrible situation where the Israeli occupation army are committing 3 crimes at the same time: ethnic cleansing, collective punishment, and genocide. Now, these numbers are therefore extremely important, not at least to respect a human Palestinian life just as much as a human life in Norway or in United Kingdom or in the United States or in Argentina or in Japan. Every human life counts. We need to do more. We need to stop this now. As we are speaking, people are getting killed in Gaza by bombing, through starvation, through diseases that could have been treated. And the world is sitting, and the leaders are sitting with their hands in their lap, sighing and doing nothing. We need concrete action against Israel. Boycott, divestment, sanctions, just as the West have had for a long time now against Russia because of the occupation of Ukraine. You need to do more. You need to do more. You need to do more. I need to do more. Every one of us. We're living in the history books now. And history will tell who stood up against this genocide, against this apartheid system, against this slaughter of the Palestinians in Gaza, who turned their back on them, and who supported Israel. You have to decide for yourself, which place do you want to have in history? Shukran Iktir, thank you very much.